Hello and happy Tuesday, which is of course my book reviews day. And today I'd like to talk about Think Yourself Lucky by Ramsey Campbell. The edition I'm going to show off in this video here is the PS Publishing hardcover edition, but I'll talk more about this edition and in particular this artwork after I talk about the book itself. This is actually my second of the Campbell books that I've read this year, the first being Fellstones. And I gotta say, I did enjoy Think Yourself Lucky more than I enjoyed Fellstones, although it's not without its flaws. This is, to a degree, Ramsey Campbell's answer to The Dark Half by Stephen King. It follows David Botham, a young man who's just trying to live his own best life. He doesn't consider himself a writer, but he does find himself in the early chapters in a writer's group where he kind of gives out a name of a blog idea name, which would be Better Out Than In, and very soon finds out that someone is using that blog name to detail some pretty horrific thoughts, and as well as some pretty horrific actions against the people that they encounter. Unfortunately, these people are all people that David himself has encountered, so, you know, it's not necessarily him doing it, but all eyes are on him. It seems kind of suspicious. And, well, David's just trying to get to the bottom of what the hell's going on. And, yeah. And that, without giving any more details, that is the synopsis for Think Yourself Lucky. Like I said, it's kind of similar to The Dark Half by Stephen King. That one is actually about a writer whose evil alter ego is killing people. I actually thought it was actually more reminiscent of Frenzy, the film by Alfred Hitchcock. That one, in particular, because it has some first person. That one has some scenes, if I recall correctly, where you are in a first person view of the killer's eyes. And as he does some horrific actions, which are then blamed upon the protagonist. And some of the alternating chapters here in Think Yourself Lucky are from the killer's point of view. You get, you know, the third-person chapters. Oop, that's a bad example. You get the third-person chapters in, you know, you Times New Roman from David's point of view. But then you have your first-person chapters in this nice sans type, where you're actually diving into the shoes of the killer and his thoughts. And yeah, he's a pretty sick individual, this killer. Lucky. It's, you know, he goes by the name of Lucky, which is also why, you know, Think Yourself Lucky. And if you're thinking, man, that's kind of, it's not really clever, it's more annoying, then I'm sorry to say, you're going to get a lot of that in this novel. That was my biggest issue with the novel, is that Campbell is too clever for his own good, or trying to be too clever for his own good. Like, to the point where, you know, once or twice, you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And, you know, time after time, you're like, okay, stop it with the smarmy, creative, you know, wordplay. Because, like, the novel, like, is just expanded and chock full of wordplay to the point where it's kind of, you know, causes you to roll your eyes a little bit. For example, here's one such example where our good friend Lucky is going to a store to buy some cigarettes. And he says, what's on offer? And the shopkeeper says, offer. So long as you enjoy serving the public. Serving the public. I enjoy seeing a few more of them. More of them. Don't you enjoy seeing me? Seeing you. Like, stop. Stop. And he starts giving off, like, you know, different names for cigarettes, like fake names, like Fatal Fags, Lumpy Lums, Poison Puffs, Ashtray Breaths. Like, it just, I don't know. It's just, it's too smarmy for me, which is a shame. I will say, unfortunately, David is kind of a boring protagonist. He's your kind of your everyman. He would fit perfectly within a Bentley Little novel. The more interesting chapters are the first-person blog chapters, when you're actually in the shoes of Lucky. But he's also a very terrible person. You know, it's just, he's aggravatingly terrible. But that's kind of the point, you know. It's not quite like the same as when you're in, you know, seeing through the eyes of the shark in Jaws. That being said, the novel is just full of terrible people. It's not just Lucky who's terrible. Like, everybody in this novel is a terrible person. Not that that, you know, justifies the terrible people and the terrible things happening to the terrible people, but it's just, it's hard to root for anybody when everyone's terrible. I mean, Lucky is terrible. You don't want to root for him, but you also don't really care what happens to everyone he encounters because they are just equally horrible people. It's, it's all right. Like I said, it kind of reminded me of Frenzy by Alfred Hitchcock. It's been a few years since I've actually seen that film, but, it's not quite as good as some of Campbell's more Lovecraftian novels, but it's definitely more enjoyable than Fellstones is. The dialogue isn't as stunted in this. I mean, the dialogue is still kind of brought down by the fact that everybody is just a horrible human being, and so every word that's not some tricky wordplay is just awful, awful things said by awful people, but that is what it is. So yeah, as I was saying, this is the hardcover edition from PS Publishing. I think this novel's 10 years old now, which I don't believe the hardcover is still in print, but you can find new copies through Flame Tree Press, which I usually am not a fan of Flame Tree Press's artwork. It's kind of minimalistic, but I will say that I do prefer it over this. Pete Von Sholly did the artwork here, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Pete Von Sholly, but this is perhaps the worst artwork I've seen all year. I know what they're going for. They're going for Ramsey Campbell, evil Ramsey Campbell. It's very thematically fitting with the novel, but it's too cheesy for me. I don't know. I know what they're going for, but it misses the mark a little bit. I actually kind of prefer the Flame Tree Press edition, which, like I said, it's nothing too fancy, but even the end papers, I think, would have been a better cover. It's not as cheesy. This was issued in 2 states in PS Publishing. One was a signed edition, such as this. One was just a trade hardcover edition, which is not going to have the signature page. But speaking of Flame Tree Press, they're actually celebrating the 60th anniversary of Ramsey Campbell in the publishing world, which is just crazy. 60 years is a long time to be writing books, even though technically the first thing he published was a short story collection, but you know what I mean. So they're currently celebrating 60 books in 60 days. So if you don't follow Flame Tree on social media, whether it be Facebook, X, Instagram, if you have any of those, I would recommend following them because they're doing like a daily trivia giveaway where if you get it correct, you're put in for a drawing and the winner gets a signed Ramsey Campbell book. I think it's probably going to be a signed paperback, but still, I mean, there's 60 signed books up for grabs. I think we're going in like the second week of it now, so there's still quite a few up for grabs if you're watching this as soon as it's uploaded. But anyways, I figured might as well read some more Ramsey Campbell in celebration of his 60th anniversary in the publishing world. It's definitely a step up over Fellstones. It's not as good as the other title I've read by Ramsey Campbell, The Nameless. I did prefer The Nameless, but still, it's not bad. Honestly, you might be better off reading the Dark Half by Stephen King. But if you're like, no, I don't want to read The Dark Half, I want to read something else that's more similar to The Dark Half, then Think Yourself Lucky might be for you. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I do a book review every single week on Tuesdays with plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there. So there's plenty to keep you entertained and keep you watching. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you around next time.